Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be tackling something I think we're all pretty familiar with. Stress. We all experience it, right? But how much do we actually understand it? Well, lucky for us, we've got some insights straight from the source. The World Health Organization. They're kind of a big deal when it comes to, you know, global health.
They really are. And they have a lot to say about stress.
So let's dive right in, shall we? What exactly are they saying about stress? What's their take on all this?
Well, they define stress as, and I'm quoting here, a state of worry or mental tension caused by a difficult situation.
Okay, that sounds pretty spot on so far. I think we've all been there, right? Deadlines at work, family stuff, or even just like trying to pick a restaurant for dinner can sometimes feel like a difficult situation.
Exactly. It's that feeling we get when we're facing a challenge or when things feel a little out of control. And here's the thing.
Yeah.
Stress gets a bad rap sometimes.
It does, doesn't it?
We often talk about it like it's this thing to avoid at all costs. But the WHO makes a really important point. Stress, in itself, isn't inherently bad. It's actually a natural human response that's hardwired into us.
So it's not some modern day invention.
Nope, not at all.
Yeah.
Think back to our ancestors. They faced some pretty intense situations, right? Life or death stuff. They needed that stress response to survive.
Like saber-toothed tiger alert, time to either fight or flee.
Exactly. That surge of energy you feel when you're under pressure, that's your body kicking in to get it done mode. It's the same system, just with slightly less dire circumstances.
So it's like our own personal built-in alarm system, letting us know when something needs attention.
Precisely. And the WHO points out that a little bit of stress can actually be beneficial. It can help us focus, motivate us to take action, and even enhance our performance. Think about athletes before a big game, or musicians about to go on stage.
Oh, I see what you mean. That nervous energy can actually give them an edge.
Exactly. It's like that extra shot of espresso, right?
Yeah.
It can make you sharper, more alert. But just like with coffee, too much can definitely send you into overdrive.
And that's when things go from helpful nudge to full-blown stress out, am I right?
You got it. And that's where things get really interesting
Yeah.
because we all experience and respond to stress differently. It's like stress is a universal language, but we all speak slightly different dialects.
Oh, I like that. Our own personal stress signature. That's fascinating. So how do we start to figure out our own dialect, our own way of dealing with stress? What makes me lose my cool might not even faze you, and vice versa. So we've established that a little stress can be a good thing, like a little nudge from our brain to stay on top of things. But when does it cross the line? When does stress go from helpful to, well, just plain unhealthy?
That's a great question, and it's something the WHO addresses head on. They're very clear that chronic, unrelenting stress, the kind that just lingers and lingers, it can really do a number on us, both mentally and physically.
So we're not just talking about feeling a little frazzled or overwhelmed here.
Not at all. We're talking about a whole cascade of potential problems. Chronic stress can manifest physically too. Headaches are a big one, muscle tension, trouble sleeping.
Oh, tell me about it. I swear, deadlines equals zero sleep. It's like my brain just won't shut off.
And that's a perfect example of what I mean. Your body is basically waving a giant red flag saying, hey, something's got to give.
It's like our bodies are trying to tell us to slow down, but we don't always listen.
Exactly. And the WHO does a great job of connecting those physical symptoms to what's actually happening in our bodies. See, when we're stressed out, our bodies get flooded with hormones, things like cortisol, and over time, that can really mess with our systems.
So it's not all in our heads. There are actual physical processes happening.
Absolutely. And it gets even more interesting. The WHO points out that chronic stress doesn't just create new problems. It can actually make existing ones a lot worse. So if you're prone to, say, headaches, anxiety, digestive issues, even serious stuff like heart disease, chronic stress can really amplify all of that.
Okay, that's a bit of a sobering thought. So ignoring those stress signals is kind of like ignoring the check engine light on your car. Eventually, things are going to break down.
I love that analogy because it's so true. We wouldn't ignore a warning sign like that in our cars, so why do we do it with our bodies?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the good news. The WHO isn't content to just give us the scary diagnosis. They actually give us a roadmap for dealing with stress, for building resilience.
Okay, I'm definitely ready for the good news part of this deep dive. Give us the tools, WHO. Lay it on us. What's this roadmap all about? Okay, so we know chronic stress is a no-go. We got to manage this thing. But how? What's the secret sauce? What's this roadmap the WHO keeps talking about?
Well, it's not so much a secret sauce as it is a toolkit. They lay out some really practical strategies, things we can all actually do to manage stress and build resilience.
Okay, I'm liking the sound of this. What kind of tools are we talking about?
Well, for starters, they highlight the importance of a daily routine.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. When life feels chaotic, a little predictability can be really grounding, right?
Exactly. See, the WHO, they explain that when we have a structured routine, our brains, they don't have to work as hard. They can conserve energy by not constantly adapting to new situations.
Oh, so less decision fatigue, more mental clarity for the important stuff.
That's the idea. And they also talk a lot about sleep.
Yeah, that one seems kind of obvious, but honestly, I think it's something we all struggle with, myself included.
Oh, for sure. But the WHO, they really dive into the science of why sleep is so crucial, especially when it comes to stress.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more.
So basically, when we sleep, our bodies and our minds, they go through all these essential restorative processes. It's like hitting the refresh button.
Okay, so if we're not getting enough sleep, we're basically running on fumes.
Exactly. And that makes us way more vulnerable to stress. It's like trying to run a marathon without ever stopping to, rest or refuel. You're going to hit a wall eventually.
Yeah, bad analogy. So the WHO, do they give any specific tips on the whole sleep thing?
They do. They recommend things like sticking to a consistent sleep schedule as much as possible, even on weekends, creating a relaxing bedtime routine,
Mm-hmm.
like taking a bath, reading a book, avoiding caffeine and alcohol before bed, stuff like that.
Okay, noted. Better sleep, it's officially on the to-do list.
Yeah.
So what else did they highlight in their little stress-busting toolkit?
Well, this one might seem a little counterintuitive, especially when we're feeling stressed, but they really emphasize the importance of connecting with other people.
Oh, interesting. Sometimes when we're stressed, we tend to isolate ourselves, but talking it out can really help, right? Just having someone to listen.
Exactly. And the WHO, they explain that the social connection, it acts as a buffer against stress.
A buff.
Yeah, like a shield almost. See, when we share what we're going through with someone we trust, even just having them listen without judgment, it can release all these feel-good hormones, things like oxytocin.
So like a pressure valve, right?
Right.
Releasing some of that built-up tension.
Exactly. And they're not just talking about venting either. Engaging in activities we enjoy with loved ones, even if it's something as simple as watching a movie together or going for a walk, it can really make a difference in how we manage stress.
It's a good reminder that sometimes the best stress relievers are the simple things, Just being around people we care about.
Absolutely. And of course, no conversation about health would be complete without talking about diet and exercise.
Right, got to cover the basics. So what's their take on all that?
Well, they actually offer a fresh perspective on why these things are so important for managing stress. The WHO, they explain that what we eat, it directly affects our brain chemistry, which in turn impacts our ability to cope with stress.
So you are what you eat, cliche as that sounds, actually holds true when it comes to stress.
Pretty much. They recommend a balanced diet, plenty of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean protein, all that good stuff. Basically, giving your brain the nutrients it needs to function at its best.
Fueling up for the mental marathon, as they say.
Exactly. And then there's exercise. Even moderate activity, like just going for a walk or doing some gardening, it can do wonders for lowering stress hormones and just boosting your mood overall.
It's like hitting the reset button on our stress response system.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. And there's one final point I want to mention from the WHO's toolkit, and I think it's super relevant these days, being mindful of our media consumption.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one, especially in our constantly connected world. It's so easy to get sucked into the news cycle and social media.
Right. And the WHO, they really emphasize the importance of paying attention to the information we're taking in, especially when it comes to negative news and just information overload in general. They actually say that that kind of constant exposure can really contribute to stress and anxiety.
Yeah, it's like our brains just weren't designed to process that much negativity all the time.
Exactly. They encourage us to be intentional about the information we consume, to set boundaries, to prioritize sources that nourish our minds instead of draining them.
So it's about reclaiming our attention, right? Focusing on the things we can control and letting go of the things we can't. Wow, this has been incredibly eye-opening. It's amazing how the WHO can take a topic as complex as stress and break it down into something so relatable and actionable. And there you have it, deep divers. We've only just scratched the surface of what the WHO has to say about stress, but hopefully this gives you a good starting point for understanding your own stress and, more importantly, what you can do about it. Remember, a little stress can actually be a good thing. It's what keeps us motivated, focused, and ready to rise to a challenge. It's about finding those healthy coping mechanisms, the tools that work for you, so that stress doesn't become overwhelming. So next time you're feeling the pressure, remember the WHO's toolkit. Establish a routine, prioritize sleep, connect with loved ones, nourish your body, move your body, and be mindful of your media intake. Might sound simple, but sometimes the simplest solutions are the most effective. Until next time, stay curious and take care of yourselves.